Hey,
Adam.
Short stuff.
How are you?
I'm good.
Today we're talking about living below your means.
Nick is currently a foot shorter than me,
That's a good leg workout.
despite us being the exact same height. I actually have lived below my means for quite some time, and it's fun.
I have lived below my means, and sometimes it was out of necessity, and it was not fun.
Not fun, yes. Yeah,
but now
true.
I do live below my means.
That's
for
true.
Sure, yeah.
Those were the days when, like, you were living on Totino's and Top Ramen.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. I'll crack a bag of Top Ramen every now and again, and actually reminisce and enjoy it.
And take it back.
I do.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Are you getting teary?
I am. There's a salty taste in my mouth. You know what's terrible about ramen is that you boil it, you put it in there, and typically I'm like, oh, this looks good, but the water is still boiling, or it's so hot. You know what I mean? You really got to let ramen cool. How do we get on this topic?
We're talking about living below and within our means.
Yes,
Yep.
Today is kind of a fun topic, and we're going to talk about a lot of things like one of the strategies and philosophies that I've lived by that I think you could live by, that you'll appreciate. Some of the benefits of living well below your means, how to do this, and then a philosophy that some people are living by that we think you might also find interesting, and we'll give you some resources around that too. So
It's a hot one.
it is a hot one. It's a hummus.
That's a-
Hummus. Hot mess. Hummus.
Oh, all right. So there was a personal philosophy that you live by. So I'm definitely curious. What is that philosophy for you?
I don't remember where I heard this. I think it may have been Jim Rohn way back in the day. But some great speaker that I heard, and I've used it so many times, I think I rewrote it and trademarked it. It is, if you do for 2 years what most people won't do, you can do for the rest of your life what most people can't do. So the examples that I give to particularly young folks, like just graduating from college, is you've been living like a broke college student for the past several years. Now the goal should be to live like a broke college student for another 2 more years in order to do a number of things. Blast away your student loans, create a base of wealth from which to grow. It could be just living minimalistically.
Both of those words.
Yes,
Yeah.
minimally and minimalistically. So that you can, as I like to say, build a bigger life, not a bigger lifestyle. Where I find many recent grads will build a big lifestyle and have a very small life.
Yeah.
Because they want the stuff, right?
Yeah, totally. And to Adam's point, when I was in college, or when I graduated from college, my first job was in San Francisco. So I was living in San Francisco, and this was 5 years ago. So rent is a lot more expensive now, but back then for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, it was $4,300 a month. And shortly into that, I realized I'm spending so much money and on rent, and I really don't want to do that. And so one of the things that most people do is continue to pay rent in expensive cities. But what I took on was Adam's quote and philosophy, and I actually moved back home where I was paying zero. And essentially for the next 2 years, I was able to pay off.
Just kidding.
I'm living like most people.
No, I
can.
get it. I know, dude. I know, dude. I did it too. It's not sexy.
Yeah. Oh, it is not sexy, and this is what a boomerang child looks like. Sexy.
Yeah, right.
But what's even sexier is that I am completely student loan debt free.
Yes.
I paid a loan that could have been, or that would, the average payoff is in 19 years. I paid it off in 3.5.
That's awesome.
So it was awesome, and I really did for 2 years what most people won't do, so I could live my life like most people can't.
Nice.
So
very good. And our story was roughly similar. We decided early on in our marriage that two could live as cheaply as one. And so we lived on one income, and the other income went to blast away all debt. And we knocked out probably $55,000 or $60,000 worth of debt in just over 2 years.
wow.
And then from that point forward had a fair amount of discretionary income. However, because we had lived that way, we decided it was just as easy to continue living that way or similar to that way. So all the extra then goes to building wealth over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So living below/within your means, but also at the same time creating the big future.
Indeed.
That's awesome. Cool.
Indeed.
So what are some of the benefits that you've experienced?
I can speak to mine. Greater flexibility is one. I mean, I find that we have an amazing amount of flexibility as a family, as a couple. Trips come up. We can say yes on a moment's notice. When things happen family-wise, either of us or all of us can drop, everything and go running for it. So I find that flexibility is a big thing. Those that are not in that, they're living at their means or beyond their means. Like, you gotta work. You can't miss days of work. To miss a bill sends things into a downward spiral.
Yep.
And I've met people that make, a very modest living, and I met people that make a massive living. And when both are living, up to and over their means, they're stressed, they're frustrated, they're, challenges in the marriage and all that stuff that I just don't have. So, I think there's less need to work as long and to save as much as well. So when you're living below your means, a family that might earn $5,000 or $7,000 a month, but if they're living on $3,500 or $4,000, you don't have to work as hard in order to do that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
nice.
That's good.
For me, I would say there's a sense of gratitude. So when I do experience the nice, lavish things, it's just like that much more awesome.
Oh yeah.
And even it was a very, very basic. I'm a very simplistic human being, but one of the basic things, I really do live my life below my means, and then to some degree, like, I'm actively seeking it, and then also like enjoy depriving myself of something,
right?
And not in a weird sense, but just like but Postmates. Okay, like or Grubhub, but Grubhub.
Yeah.
I did that for the very first time a couple of weeks ago, and I was literally blown away. First of all, I felt guilty that I was spending. I got free delivery because it was the first time using that.
Right.
But it was like, $5.99 moving forward, and I was like, I'm not paying for that.
Right.
But literally, I did not have to leave my room. They called me when it was there. I went downstairs, picked it up, and I was like, wow, that was awesome. So living beneath my means, but then having an experience that most people might be at means or above me.
Yeah.
I just had such a huge appreciation for it.
So I have to comment on this because what I find interesting is at restaurants, people that, and particularly families, buzz in, order quick wolf down food and leave. To me, what my story is that they're not appreciating the time and the dinner out and all that stuff. Like, it's almost become commonplace to do it. And so, we eat out as a family relatively infrequently because we do a lot of cooking here, and my kids are kind of homebodies. They want to stay at home. We'll say, hey, should we go out to eat? And they're like, no, let's just stay here. So I find that when that is the norm, people don't enjoy it as much.
Got it.
Yeah, they don't take the time to enjoy it.
Gotcha.
It's like, it's going out to eat.
Yeah.
Right.
Another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another day.
Yeah.
So how do we do it? How do we live below our means?
So one of the first ways is, one, knowing that you do want to live below your means. But what does that make available, right? So if you're living below your means or within your means, most likely you're going to have some extra money, right? And so one of the ways that I have people doing that we would suggest is really creating an auto transfer. So whether it's at a high yield savings bank like on Ally Bank or wherever it is that you bank, or credit union, if you're not necessarily eating out or using Grubhub or whatever the case is, putting $100 away a week, a month into an auto savings would one, psychologically you would not see the money.
Right.
So sometimes people use, this is how much money I have in my checking account to dictate spending. So if you have less and you trick your brain to think that you have less, you're living below your means, but you're also building wealth and saving at the same time.
Yep.
So the auto transfer is one way that you can do this.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the other way, and this is one that I've leveraged, is deciding what % of your income do you want to live on. So where most people will say, I'm going to live on 100% of my income because that's what it's for. In reality, there should be some money left at the end of the month. And the more money you have left at the end of the month, the faster you will experience freedom and flexibility and all of that. So there is a movement today. We teased this at the beginning of the video. There is a movement called the FIRE movement.
Ooh.
It's hot, baby. It stands for Financially Independent, Retire Early. And you'll hear a lot of these people talk about the fact that, if you save 10% of your income for 40 years, you'll be able to retire at 65. But what if you were to save 40% of your income or 60% of your income? How much more quickly could you retire based on that? And so we'll share with you some links down below about some FIRE movement folks that are really celebrating that and living well below their means in order to retire that much earlier as well. But so what percent of your income do you want to live on? Is it 80? Is it 70? Is it 60? Is it 20? And if you're making enough that you could do that, what an awesome thing to be able to live on 10 or 20% of your income and have the rest going to investments, causes you hold dear, fun things like travel and vacations and all that. So,
yep. So comment below. I would love to know what percentage of your income you're actually living on. I think that'd be very fascinating.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know what percentage you're on?
I would need to actually double check, but I am very intrigued to find out how much I do live on.
Yeah.
I know that being here in Des Moines, the rent is a lot more affordable than when I was living in other parts of the U.S.
$4,300.
So I would assert that it's actually pretty low. And, I started, in terms of living beneath my means, I started cooking more and, getting, food that I could microwave. So that way, I still don't have a microwave, so I'm still stir frying. Anyway, that I don't have to go out and eat. But I'm always on the lookout for how I can live below my means.
I knew I should have gotten you a microwave for your birthday. I knew it.
That would have been hot.
Below his means. That would have been hot, man. Yeah. Fire.
Cool.
Indeed.
Alrighty.
We will see you on the next show. We're going to talk about, there's a book that we're going to talk about that will totally blow your mind in a really good way. Stay tuned.
See you next time.